At the beginning of every month, I like to go into my Fidelity account and look to see the returns of my portfolio since I started selling options in it compared to the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And I'd like to compare the returns to see if it is worth it for me to continue spending my time selling options or not. So I'm going to bring you into my screen and show you what I look at. Okay, here is my screen, and the top here is my solo 401k, and down here is the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So the 1 month return, so for October, my account returned 9.15%, and for the S&P 500, it returned 2.3, and the NASDAQ was 4.72. So clearly my account for selling options has outperformed the market. And I like to actually compare it to the NASDAQ because the NASDAQ is more comparable to the type of stocks that I sell options on. All right, and so if we look at the 3 month, my return for my portfolio is 16%. For the S&P 500 was 8, and the NASDAQ was 12.5. Again, beat that. Year to date, obviously it's up quite a bit as well, but I only started selling options in this account as of July 3rd. This is what I look at to make sure that it's still worth my time to sell options in this account. This is the biggest one that I sell in, and it's the easiest one to keep track of as far as ROI is concerned. There is one more metric that I keep track of for this account, and it is comparing it to what the account balance and return would have been if I wouldn't have sold the large cap growth index fund that it was previously invested in and just kept it there compared to selling options. So the values in pink represent the gain difference that I have made from selling options versus if I would have just held that large cap growth fund, and it was FSPGX. From switching from that to selling options, I have an extra gain of $16,191 this year, which is 11.4%. So that's how much more my portfolio has grown from selling options over if I would have just held the same ETF or index fund that I was holding before I sold it all in order to go all in on options. Hopefully that makes sense. That was a little hard to explain. So overall, this portfolio is beating the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ by a lot, in my opinion, and it is well outperforming what it would have been if I would have left it just in my large cap growth fund. So for me, it's worth it to keep selling options over just buying and holding that fund.